Today, we remember and say thank you for our freedom by honouring those who fought for us. We remember the Flanders Fields poem, and lest we forget. And here is the story of the unknown soldier memorial in Westminster Abbey, and the reason why we here in Britain wear a poppy. On the night of November the 7th, 1920, 6 unidentified British bodies were exhumed from temporary battlefield cemeteries of the Aisne, Marne, Cambrai, Somme, Arras and Ypres, and brought into the chapel at St. Paul near Arras, France. None of the soldiers who did the digging were told why. The bodies were taken by field ambulance to GHQ at St. Paul-sur-Thernois. Once there, the bodies were draped with the Union flag. Sentries were posted, and Brigadier General Wyatt and a Colonel Girl selected one body at random. The other 5 bodies were reburied. A French honour guard was selected and stood by the coffin overnight. On the morning of the 8th of November, a specially designed coffin made of oak from the grounds of Hampton Court arrived, and the unknown warrior was placed inside. On top was placed a crusader's sword and a shield on which was inscribed, "A British warrior who fell in the Great War, 1914 to 1918, for King and Country." On the 9th of November, the unknown warrior was taken by horse-drawn carriage through Boulogne, and the sound of tolling bells and the bugles of the French infantry played Au Champ, the French last post, to the quayside. There the casket was saluted by Maréchal Foch and loaded onto HMS Vernon, bound for Dover. The coffin stood on the deck, covered in wreaths, surrounded by the French honour guard. Upon arrival at Dover, the unknown warrior was met with a 19-gun salute, something that was normally only reserved for field marshals. A special train had been arranged, and he was then conveyed to Victoria Station, London. The coffin remained there overnight, and on the morning of the 11th of November, the casket was finally taken to Westminster Abbey. On the morning of 11th November 1920, the casket was placed onto a gun carriage of the Royal Horse Artillery, North Battery RHA, and drawn by 6 horses through immense and silent crowds. As the cortege set off, a further Field Marshal's salute was fired in Hyde Park. The route followed was Hyde Park Corner, the Mole, and a Whitehall, where the cenotaph, a symbolic empty tomb, was unveiled by King Emperor George V. The cortege was then followed by the King, the royal family, and ministers of state to Westminster Abbey, where the casket was borne into the west nave of the Abbey, flanked by a guard of honour of 100 recipients of the Victoria Cross. The idea of the unknown warrior was thought of by a padre called David Railton, who had served on the front line during the Great War. The Union flag he had used as an altar cloth whilst at the front was the one that had been draped over the coffin. It was his intention that all of the relatives of the 517,773 combatants whose bodies had not been identified could believe that the unknown warrior could very well be their best husband, father, brother, or son. This is the reason we wear poppies. We do not glorify war. We remember with humility the great and the ultimate sacrifice that were made, not just in this war, but in every war and conflict where our service personnel have fought to ensure the liberty and freedom that we now take for granted. Every year on the 11th of November, we remember the unknown warrior. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. I think this year, more than ever, it's important for us to take a moment. Take care. Carrie Pink.